Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us here on our webinar today, AI versus human, and why you don't have to choose when building a customer-first service strategy. Now, before we kick off and get into the fun stuff, I would just like to go through a few quick housekeeping notes to ensure everyone has the best experience today. So first off, this will be a 40-minute session. We will have a 30-minute panel discussion and then a 10-minute Q&A session. So please do jump on in with any questions whenever you see fit. You should have access to ask some questions there through the Zoom webinar app. And today's session is being recorded. So the recording, along with any of the relevant resources from today, will be emailed out in the following days. So do keep an eye on your inboxes as well. Now, AI promises to help you scale your business without scaling your support head costs. But what about the customer experience? And do AI and personalization have to be with odds? Thankfully, I don't have to answer that question myself. And I'm joined by our three very experienced panelists here. We have Lou, Ben, and Alistair. Would you guys like to introduce yourself in that order?
Hiya, so I'm Lou Fife. I work for Marshalls PLC. We are a landscaping company, the top brand in the country. We will provide materials that are from your water table management all the way up to the solar panel on your roof and all of the building materials in between. We've been with Front now for nearly 3 years, and so I've had a lot of experience with the Front team and using the AI on that.
Thanks, Lou. Ben?
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a change and operational readiness manager at Gatehouse Bank, and we offer Sharia finance to our customers and Sharia savings, a more ethical approach to financing homes. In my role, I'm a part of the team that is responsible for implementing the bank's change strategy with a particular focus in operational delivery. So what is the impact to our current operation? How can we ensure that the incoming changes are seamlessly integrated into the workforce, etc.? I've been at the bank for about 2.5 years, and banking was a new industry for me. My background came from corporate hospitality, and in that industry, no matter what your role is, the customer is always at the forefront of your mind. So yeah, this conversation is obviously particularly prevalent for me. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Alistair.
I'm Alistair Morris. I'm Managing Director at Acu. We are an e-commerce business for engineers. So we've got about 500,000 different engineering components on our website. So two examples behind me. We are a fairly small business, so 110 people, but fast growth. So the business was only founded 12 years ago by two guys in their bedrooms, and constantly looking to use technology and software to scale the business rapidly, but with a really strong focus on the customer experience. So we pride ourselves on our customer reputation and our rankings and our reviews, and they really drive repeat business on the platform.
Thanks a million, Alistair. Thank you very much. My name is Kieran Coughlin. I am the lead solutions engineer here at Front. And as you can probably hear, we have three very different businesses and three incredibly different sets of customers. So I'm really excited to hear some of the answers that we get out today coming from such unique vantage points. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So according to customer service trend data, most service teams have seen a rise in customer expectations across speed, availability, personalization, and quality. So what do you think are the main driving factors of the rise in customer service expectations, and how have you experienced it firsthand? And the man with the million parts, I'm going to pass that one over to you. Alistair, do you want to jump in on that one?
Sure. I mean, there's no question that we are, as a business, we're completely driven by how people want everything instantly. We founded the business kind of on that principle, actually, that we wanted to get technical information into an engineer's hands as quickly as possible. But current trend, is just more and more people are impatient to get what they want instantly, and the customer experience is really driven by our ability to get them what they want without having to wait for somebody to get back to them, without having to loop around, look in multiple places, make multiple inquiries. It's I get it instantly from the first place I look, or I get bored and move on, or I try somewhere else. Somebody else needs to give it to me instantly. So it really drives so much about how we interact with customers, both digitally through the site, so what we're putting in front of them on the site, but then when they actually get in touch with a human as well.
Brilliant. Great answer. Thank you for that. So Lou, you were saying that, your business marshals is kind of the number one choice in the industry. Do you kind of experience that sort of pressure then as well around the rise of customer service expectations?
Yeah, I think around that we kind of became a bit of a victim of the Amazon culture, where everybody thinks that they can order something today and get it tomorrow, which in fairness, that would be a lovely world if we all lived there. But unfortunately, I can't get you 28 tons of bricks by tomorrow morning. I have to plan a vehicle. I have to be able to get that on the road. And so realistically, the only things that we can actually control is how quickly we can service our customers with answers, with responses to any questions, with any answers to inquiries that or problems that they've brought to us. So essentially, even though we can't do the quick Amazon turnaround, the communication is the massive key for us to be able to provide that quickly.
Absolutely. Great, Lou. Thank you very much. And now, Ben, I'll pass it over to you to top us off there as well. So it sounds like you've a lot of, it's a very interesting use case as well that maybe not everyone has some familiarity with as well. So I think your experience around customers with their specific expectations would be really valuable here at this stage. Have you seen those rising expectations as well within your industry?
Yeah, we have. I mean, to go back to your question there around like deriving factors around those expectations, I think one of the things that not necessarily we see in our business, but one of the things that I see is the increased demand due to the absence of loyalty, particularly in the services sector. Businesses used to reward customer loyalty with exclusive discounts and improved benefits, gifts, but now businesses are generally more focused on generating new customers and introducing introductory offers and then subsequently hiking up prices at the end of fixed term contracts. But I think customers are much more financially savvy now, and we're always looking, well, I am as well, we're always looking for the best deal. I think the value of excellent customer services can caveat that increased cost for the same or similar services with a competitor offering those new customer benefits. But now, as a regulated entity, we're also bound by the regulator through consumer duty to deliver good customer outcomes. So there is also that expectation from the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, and something that we looked at through the implementation of consumer duty were things like sludge practices or unnecessary friction points for customers, and tidying those up to deliver more efficient service for them.
Ben, that's super interesting what you talked about, the friction points there. So removing friction points seems to be one of the main goals of a lot of our new customers in front, really looking at simplifying that communication process, both for the new customers and the existing customers. And that's where we've seen a lot of advancements in generative AI and automation to be able to sort of unlock that path for our customers' customers. So I guess the question is, and I'll pass this one back to you, Ben, is how are you thinking about self-service customer support? Is it something you plan to invest more in?
Yeah, we are. I think in particular, we're looking at the mediums in which customers can contact us and when they can as well. I mean, we're predominantly a UK operation business, but we have customers internationally. If used in the right way, I think chatbots can be a great tool to help customers have their inquiries resolved without actually speaking to anyone. And I think this is also quite a good way of supporting the customer service operations in particular. I don't want to kind of go into a sales pitch, but to be fair, with Front, we're now actually able to measure the volumes of conversations that we're having about certain topics, which actually supports us in building a database framework on how to autonomously handle our most common inquiries, or FAQs, if you like, which obviously leaves us with more time to speak with our customers on more complicated and personal inquiries. We're also looking at a knowledge base as well. that's being reviewed to support our teams. And with upcoming developments again in front, to be fair, it'll lend itself quite well. The knowledge base will lend itself quite well to AI-powered Q&As. And we're looking into the plausibility of using our chatbot in combination with that knowledge base and AI to deliver a good experience for that customer. We've already got a plethora of knowledge and processes and SLAs and policies documented, etc. It's now about turning that into a tool for our teams rather than a manuscript, if you like.
Fantastic, Ben. So it sounds like you're a little bit down the path already into sort of building that self-service piece and taking advantage of all of the knowledge there that you've got documented as well. So Alistair, from your side, is self-service something that you're considering? Is it something on the agenda?
Way beyond that, really, in a sense that our business was founded on it as a principle, actually. So to put the technical information, the stock availability, price breaks, all of this information directly in the hands of the customer. So it's very much kind of what our website aims to do, actually, is to help customers self-serve. The key thing for us then has been to have a feedback loop about what is it that people want to know, what is it that the customers want to get hold of really quickly. And I'd certainly reinforce Ben's comment about how we've been able to use Front to gather that data and make more available. What I'm excited about is taking some of the manual steps out of that process. You know, that's been a lot of hard work for us over the years to understand what customers are looking for and feed that back into the self-service platform. The opportunity for something to be doing that automatically using AI to gather that, prioritize, and potentially generate what they need is really interesting.
Yeah, I think this perfectly fits with kind of Front's approach to AI in general, is that there's kind of two elements to it. There's helping your customers self-serve, and then also helping your agents to be as efficient and effective as possible when dealing with the more complex and sort of value-added customer queries and questions as well. So Lou, we'll round out with you there. Have you looked at incorporating self-service into your organization's sort of roadmap and your approach to dealing with customer queries?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're using knowledge base at this moment. We have 7 businesses within Marshalls who all operate with very different materials, very different practices and processes. And it's not possible to actually get everybody trained up in absolutely everything. So each business is currently creating its own knowledge base. And the idea behind that is we'll be able to use that as a training tool, as well as being able to use that as part of the chatbot when we eventually relaunch that. So we're really excited about the possibilities that holds for us.
Fantastic. We look forward to seeing you guys succeed with that as well. And as I was saying, that really does kind of fit very well into Front's sort of approach, because I know kind of globally there is concerns that AI will be a replacement for people. I think we are seeing now that we're kind of out of the fresh, dizzying excitement moment of AI, that's not really necessarily going to be the case. And at Front, we firmly believe that it will give agents superpowers and help them to get promoted and not replaced. And I personally use AI every day in my work to enhance the quality of the work that I do, to pick up on some more menial tasks. And I think that's what we are seeing across the industry right now. It's not about replacing, but it's about enhancing. It's this idea is that there's so much AI can do for the already incredible agents working on your teams. So Ben, how are you incorporating or planning on incorporating AI to assist your customer service teams? Sorry, Ben, you're on mute. Apologies.
Oh, that's my fault. Pound in the jar. I promised myself I wasn't going to do that. So yeah, we currently use AI as a support mechanism and not necessarily a dependency. But I think, from my perspective, I think it's important to recognize that we're at the start of our journey with AI. I know obviously you talk about the boom there. A couple of years ago now, it's on everybody's desktop. It's on edge, and I agree. I use AI every day now. But other areas in our business are also considering the use of AI to detect content in documentation and that's being submitted to us, and then have that transformed into something more useful and consolidated information. what we're probably not looking to do with AI is have it make cognitive decisions, but instead we want to take away those manual, boring, process-based tasks away in order for our people to make decisions. I mentioned before, like the chatbot to handle the FAQs, and for the customer services team to handle more complicated and personal inquiries. We want our people to make those decisions. We want humans to make them. But a lot like what we're doing with robotic process automation as well, which obviously that was probably the buzzword maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more. We're looking to give more time back to our workforce, so that they can spend it doing that human element of the job and not the basic repetition of administrative tasks. But we're obviously sitting here as a partner of Front, and we've implemented a few of your AI-powered features. And previously, we used to build and maintain rules to categorize our inbound communications, but AI takes care of that now, which again supports our scope of wanting to take away the boring process-based tasks away, which I'm quite pleased about, because the maintenance of that was actually my job. So I'm quite pleased to have had to let that go now.
Delighted to hear it, Ben. Hopefully we can do a little bit more to ease the daily pressure there for yourself. Alistair, how have you seen sort of how do you approach that element of AI sort of supporting the people in your business?
Yeah, absolutely crucial, really. And I'm not that excited about the customer's interaction with AI tools, but AI being used by the customer service team to create a better experience. One of my mantras about AI, and I say this in the boardroom, and I think it should be in every boardroom, is to stop and think about why you're wanting to adopt AI in your business. Is it to save cost and cut headcount, right? Then you're going to fail in the long term. If the reason you're wanting to do it is to create a better customer experience and a better interaction with your business, great. And when people say, is my job going to be replaced by AI? The answer is no. Your job's going to be replaced by a human that's using AI, because it's going to be the most powerful tool that we've got. We've got some tools that we're using today that we didn't have 20, 30 years ago. But this is going to be the big one. So get on and start using it, really is my message. And that's what I think is really exciting from a customer service point of view. The ability to get instant information about 500,000 components, about customer applications, and all of this information, filter through that, get to it much quicker, with the aim of a better customer experience. I'm genuinely really excited about what that does as a customer as well. I feel like my experience of all interactions with businesses ought to get a lot better if it's implemented well.
Alistair, I hope so. Based on some of the recent customer support experience I've had trying to change my phone provider, I really hope so. Some things are going to get better soon. And you're dead right about locking down that why first. You really don't want the tail to wag the dog in this scenario where you're just jumping on this because it's the buzzword, it's the next thing to do. It's something that can lead you potentially a couple steps down the wrong path. So I would echo that 100% and really figure out why AI can be beneficial for you and what that's going to mean for your customers in the long term.
And we've probably all got experience of that already, right? So we're slightly wary of an AI chatbot, because we've all experienced an awful chatbot that just doesn't actually answer the question that I want answering. So it's not AI for the sake of AI, it's AI for a better customer experience.
I fully agree. And Lou, I was only just thinking the other day, would you believe it? It was nearly 2 years ago since we first talked.
Wow.
And I remember our first conversations, you were really involved with the what's in it for me. Like what is really going to help me, what is going to help my teams, what is going to help everyone across the business. And coming from a change management background, that was so refreshing because I knew Front was in great hands. And as Front has changed and as we've bought new features in and we've taken on AI as a component, not for 1 second was I ever going to worry that Marshalls weren't going to have a handle on this as well, because you've always understood from the beginning what's in it for the people in the business and what's in it for the customers as well. So I'll pass the question back to you, is that how are you incorporating or planning to incorporate sort of AI assistance into your customer service teams?
So as I mentioned before, we have 7 different businesses within Marshalls, and each of those businesses prior to Front was having 2 people handle emails and basically sift through them, farm them out every single day. So essentially, the first and most immediate result that we got was that we had those 14 people not having to sift through those emails every day. And we were able to use them to upskill them, to utilize them for those real human touch points that we needed. And that gave us an immediate, so it's an increase in our service towards customers, and customers noticed. They said, you know, we're getting in touch with you so much quicker. We're getting a response so much quicker. We had a massive backlog on our emails, and that by the time I'd implemented Front with my first team had disappeared. And so dramatically, that has changed how we work as a business. And so when we move towards using AI and using the knowledge bases and using the chatbot, all that's going to do is enable us to take those people's time back and upskill them and make sure that we get the best out of them. We have some really, really good people, and we want to use them to the best of their ability.
Brilliant. Love to hear it. And Lou, given sort of your involvement with these frontline teams, I'd love to know what you sort of currently measure your service quality on, and then what are you going to start planning to look at over the next couple of years as well?
Okay. So currently we look at CSAT, we look at NPS, we look at NetEase, all the industry standard KPIs. The other thing that we do is we also use Front CSAT method, where we ask a very simple question at the very end of the email that the customer can rate, and they've got a ability to come back on and give a bit of a brief. The guys see that immediately. So when they get a really good result, they see that straight away, and that kind of gives them a nice moral boost. And so in the future, we've currently employed the SLA rules. So essentially we can see where an SLA has been breached and where we need to focus knowledge base and the kind of AI improvements to kind of plug those gaps for us, to make sure that anywhere we are slipping, we use that tool to the best of its ability as well.
Great. Sounds like you have a real handle on things there, Lou. Ben, I'll pass the same question over to you around what are you currently measuring service quality on? And then what are you planning to start looking at over the next year?
Yeah, quite similar to Lou, to be fair. I mean, we've previously depended on process checklists being completed by an internal quality control team, a quality control team, should I say? Not necessarily to measure quality, but more to manage quality more than anything else. We've now shifted to more of an outcomes-based testing model, which is more of a risk-based approach. But that ensures that team members have actually actioned the correct processes, which subsequently gets measured on the quantity of risks and the types of risks that are being raised off the back of that. We also use NPS scoring at various stages of our new business acquisition and SLA adherence as well across our operations. But moving forward, we want to reduce the number of interactions, to be fair, with our customers when they come to us with an inquiry, with the aim of measuring a first or second time resolution rate. Lou mentioned it as well. We're also in the first year of using a new data source, being the customer satisfaction. This obviously is different to the NPS, which has already lent itself quite well to identifying customer complaints, which is, again, something as a regulated entity we have to do and we have to deal with. And we're currently reviewing how all of that data can be combined and used conjunctively with other sources to build a scorecard of such as well.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you, Ben. Alistair, same question to you.
Yeah, and potentially the same answer as well. Definitely echo a lot of the things. NPS is one of our 5 core company objectives, and really monitored closely at a high level and driven across the whole business, not just the CSAT team. But then in terms of customer service interactions, closely monitored with Front SLA tools, really important. In line with the first question in the webinar, really, what I'm interested in going forwards is that time to resolution, reducing that down, particularly on the more complex inquiries. So, how do we get people away from the repetition, that we can probably use AI to do some of the repetitive stuff and get them onto the more complex and involved things where Customers want some hand holding. You know, they can't self-serve because they genuinely want to do something that's different than that's done before. And they don't want the laborious task of doing it themselves. So how do we help them with that? So really time from first contact to complete resolution, rather than some individual response times, which what Ben's implying as well with number of responses needed. Try and reduce that. Key.
Brilliant. It's so interesting once you really start deep diving into the metrics and stats, what the data means, and then what the data can mean for your teams as well. I am constantly surprised at the assumptions that I have made and previously made about what's working in a particular team or what's not working in a particular team. And then after diving into the data, being completely sideswiped by what is actually going on. So being really able to understand what is happening, deep dive into the metrics, see those reply times, see those response times, get granular, but also see the big picture at the same time. It is a breath of fresh air to actually start making some decisions and making some improvements and some changes sort of based on real data that is sitting there as well. So we're on to our final question. And a big theme of this discussion has been investing in technology. We had a little throwback there to RPA in the middle of our AI conversation as well. And who knows what the next acronym will be down the line as well. But we can guarantee it's coming. It will be there. So what I'd like to get from the panel here is just an idea on some of your best practices for evaluating technology partners. What are the must-dos, the pitfalls to avoid, and how do you ensure a successful rollout to the organization? And Lou, we'll start with you if that's okay.
Of course. So for us, it is to look for someone who's going to partner and not just sell you a product, someone who's going to be there during your rollout, and to make sure that you're getting the most out of their product. And equally, not just go, right, we've dumped it in and we're going to just leave you to it. Our partnership with Front has been absolutely intrinsic to making sure that it's a success within Marshalls, because we still have quarterly updates. We have the guys coming on and telling us what's new, what's been changed, what can you look forward to rolling out. And essentially that means that we're able to use it to its best ability, and we're not still stuck 2 or 3 years ago where we were literally going, well, we don't know what we're doing. We've constantly got a plan because we've got that hand-in-hand partnership.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Lou. Ben, over to you for that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm the person that's responsible for rolling out the solution and not the person that has to pay the bill. So I have a slightly different approach to maybe the people that do have to fit the bill. But for me, as that person, I'm looking for flexibility. I'm looking for how flexible a partner's tech can be, specifically out the box. I think you find very few systems that are a perfect fit for you as a company, unless you want to go and build them yourselves. And even then, it's like a house, isn't it? You find ways of growing into the space, and then all of a sudden you need a bigger house. So having something that you can grow with is key. I think the strength of support during the onboarding process is massive. And I think most good technology partners now do have a structured onboarding program, should I say. So that's a really good one for me. Post-launch support is another one. My preference is definitely to look for a partner that service you beyond implementation. That's obviously echoing what Lou was saying, but I actually think that's probably one of the more important ones as an operator. If you're scoping new systems or anything like that, I would always make sure that you take the time to review what support looks like well after implementation, not just, oh, I'm 2 weeks post-launch now. And probably networking as well, and talking to people. It sounds really straightforward, but I actually met Alistair on a similar call a few months back, and we talked about a partner that Alistair was working with, and we were considering it. And that conversation just leads to the fact that you might dodge a poor partner or cement the feeling that you've actually chosen the right one as well. So I think that networking is a key one. In terms of rolling out and success, obviously we have quite a lot of involvement in that as a change manager. But we're a relatively small bank, but within our culture, we openly encourage regular feedback from all of our employees. And it includes things like how our processes are working operationally. But that doesn't just help us capture a lot of perspectives, but it also generates early buy-in from the teams as they're already invested in making that project a success. And we have a good number of initiatives coming through the transformation teams, and all of them them require SME support from team members that are doing the job that the tech is brought in to enhance. So yeah, I think other than that, returning back to those teams after implementation is key as well. Teams will go through the change curve and the learning curve. And it's important that we return to that project once it's had enough time to settle, being prepared to make changes where necessary, but importantly, keeping that feedback alive. So yeah, that all works towards building in trust. And whilst it might not impact this project that you're working on, it certainly will help contribute to more successes in subsequent rollouts as well.
I'd love to hear it, Ben. It's always something that we kind of pry for early on when discussing sort of a front onboarding is, what other technology have you rolled out? How did that go? What did you learn from that? Well, front is very much its own entity and its own specific type of application. There's so much to be learned in general from how an organization handles change and handles technology change specifically as well. So yeah, great to hear that's one of the practices that you guys follow also. And then finally, Alistair, same question to yourself.
Sure. As you might guess, we use a lot of software in our business, and we're always trying to stay at the forefront of it and on board new innovative software as quickly as we can. We definitely don't always get it right. So I don't know whether I'm sharing best practice or lessons learned from things that haven't gone quite right. That was certainly what I was sharing with Ben. I guess two key things for me. One is to be really clear about what it is you're actually buying. Software as a service is always sold in kind of packages, levels of functionality. And as a potential customer, you get sold the enterprise functionality with all the amazing things that it can do. But as a small business, that's often way beyond our price point, and we're somewhere lower down. So really important to be clear with yourselves, but also to get clear from your salesperson. What actually package can I afford, and is this the amazing functionality that I think I'm getting, or is it not? And then my second point is definitely about support. Where are you after implementation? Are you just left to use the tool? Because things don't work all the time, and things go wrong, and software is constantly updating. So have you got the support to keep abreast of it? And I'd really encourage to try and figure out who's going to be giving you that support. It's not the charming, witty salesperson that you're speaking to at the point of contract. It's somebody else, and actually find out who they are and who's going to support your business, because they're going to be a partner. You're going to work with them closely to try and be successful. So you're buying that support as well as the software itself.
Right. Well, first of all, thank you to all of our panelists for such fantastic answers as well. I know I have learned a huge amount today. We do have a couple of questions that have come in through the Q&A. So I guess we'll go through the questions, and then whoever feels like they want to answer, jump on in as well. So the first question is about end user buy-in. So given the apparent size of the change in each of your organizations, how did you secure end user buy-in early on in the process?
Yeah, I'll take that. So
Thank you.
From our perspective, because we've got such a vast amount of groups that were taking that on, essentially what we did was we've got super users. So first off, each team had their own super user, brought them in and taught them how to use the package. The thing that they do really well is go back to their team and they talk about it. They tell them, this is amazing. And so the teams start hearing about this great new technology that's being brought in. And then once you're kind of sitting with them and showing them the process, showing them what it can do for them, is making sure that you're taking that feedback and making sure that it actually fits. Every business within Marshalls works differently, and what might fit one doesn't fit another. So listening to that team and going, okay, I can tweak it and I can make it work for you. You don't have to work with it. And so for them, they all jumped on board because they felt like they were part of the process.
Great. Thank you for that wonderful insight, Lou. Alistair or Ben, care to jump in and add to that?
Yeah, sure. Definitely really important to have a champion, someone who's behind whatever it is that you're bringing into the business and is driving it. And also really important to articulate people to come back to that why. Why are we doing this? Because the end users will adopt something if it's in their benefit. So if if the reason that it's being brought in, and it really should be, to make their lives easier, to make it easier for them to do their job and achieve their ultimate goal, great. If your why is actually, because you're wanting to cut costs, or because you're wanting to impose management constraints on people, then you're not going to get buy-in, and probably rightly so. So, articulate the why you're doing it, and bring people with you.
Great. Appreciate it, Alistair. I'll come back to you in a second because we've one question particularly from the audience for you. But Ben, do you want to jump in on the change management piece?
Yeah, to be fair, I think I kind of echoed what everybody else said. Now, I think I answered probably towards the end of my question before about getting that early buy-in. We definitely need to bring people on the journey with us. And as I said, we're quite a relatively small bank, a challenger bank. We have around 250 employees. So when we implement change, we need to get subject matter expert support in that. And the people that are those SMEs are usually the people that are doing the job. So if you can't bring them along for the journey, the likelihood is they're not going to reap the benefits or see the benefits of a change that you're trying to implement. So yeah, definitely best practice to bring some key stakeholders in from those areas.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the answers, guys. So we've one question here that's come in. Just picking up on one of the points Alistair made there, customers love coming to us personally because they know they can get an immediate response, and the element of personal interaction goes a long way in relationship building. How do we create a mindset of self-help, going through the knowledge base, or using the AI chatbot to resolve common queries compared to customers directly reaching out to our support teams?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'm a big believer in this hybrid model, and we have 24/7 human chat, right? And very easy to contact a human and get an answer. But as you'll realize, trying to drive the self-serve as much as possible. And for me, I think that's really just, it's actually what people want. They want that quick answer. So get that to them, but don't put a barrier in place to make it difficult to talk to a person. If somebody wants somebody to help them, make that available. Again, to reference the bad chatbot, the website where you can't find out how to get in touch with someone. Was it your internet provider you were talking about? You just let me talk to somebody to sort this out. That customer frustration is it's really easy to achieve, and one of the worst customer experiences. So don't make it difficult for them to do that. Make it easier for them to get the answer that they want. But if the answer's not there, if it's not forthcoming, if you failed on the self-service, don't put the barrier. The answer to self-service is not to make it difficult to speak to a human, right? That's my key point.
I fully agree. I think particularly when determining your self-service paths and your interaction models with your customers, definitely less is more early on. And that if your self-service articles and chatbots can't resolve the issues pretty quickly, just put the person in front of another person. Because if you don't do that, you're going to burn people out so fast, and you're going to be fighting an uphill battle with your customers who have it in the back of their heads that a self-service model is not what I need to get my questions answered. And, this doesn't all have to be done tomorrow. You can really learn from your customers' interactions what paths are working, what paths are not working, and really adopt a sort of a progress, not perfection approach when determining these self-service models. Because like I said, the last thing you want to do is, and to your point, Alistair, is put up these walls that are just going to be difficult to navigate. And you're building a maze around your customer support team for your customers. And it's never going to work long-term again. So,
and I'd be, if your self-service isn't good enough yet, if your AI chatbot isn't there yet, 2 points. One, it's going to get an awful lot better in the next 2 years. I mean, every iteration of ChatGPT is a huge step forward, and that goes for all the tools. So be aware that it's going to get to a place that it isn't. And for now, just give it to your customer service team. So help them service the customer faster, help them do more, and that's an important part of the hybrid.
Fully agree. Anyone else have any other points they'd like to add to that question before moving on to our final question?
Yeah, I'll touch on that. It's just obviously echoing what Alistair said, but I think it's a difficult one because to your point about using before, Alistair, about using, everybody's used a bad chatbot, and it's difficult now because we're looking at the ethics as to whether or not you need to know whether or not you're speaking to a chatbot, or you need to know whether or not you're speaking to AI and when you're actually speaking to a human. But if you go through a bad service with a chatbot or through an AI chatbot, how quickly can you get onto that onto an actual human to speak to? I know when I've used Amazon's in the past and I haven't been able to get what I linked to or what I needed, they refer you on to somebody else, but you don't necessarily know that you're being speaking to a new human there. So I think it's about the seamlessness of obviously how you go from a semi-automated solution or a fully automated solution to actually speaking with a human to get the answer that you actually need.
Fully agreed, Ben. And for the last question, I'll just ping this one at you, Lou, for a quick answer, if you don't mind. Have you come across any challenges with bringing internal teams on board with the idea of working with automation and AI? And if so, how did you overcome these? And I think you've kind of given snippets of this answer throughout the presentation, but I'll leave it with you for a final remark.
Yeah, so essentially we had the first issue is, oh, are you going to cut jobs? And the answer to that was no, we're going to upskill you. And that people's first concern with automation is, oh, you want to take away people. The other part of it is them wanting to have that personal touch and worrying that we're going to take that personal touch away from customers. But actually what we've been able to do with Front is actually make sure that people who have points of contact get directly to where they need to be. So they don't have to wait in a queue. They go straight to the person that they want. And so essentially that little bit of a personal touch has helped to kind of make sure that people think that Front is the good thing that it is, and automation and AI is the good thing that it is, because we show that it works to counter their fears.
Great. Thanks a million, Lou. So again, thank you to all three of our panelists for taking time out of their busy schedule for joining us today. And thank you to all of the attendees who joined us. Do keep an eye out on your inbox. We'll be sending out the recording and all of the relevant follow-up materials. And again, thank you to everyone, and have a great rest of your week. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.